even on the album cover, the image with kind of the person's head leaned back and they're tied to the television. So it's kind of like, what are we putting into our brains, our minds, our bodies? It's a very spiritual project. So definitely listen to 13 Perfect Day for Exorcism.
Shout out to Pharoah, shout out to Marcus Machado, who's the third
member, yeah.
Yeah, the second. I could be the third member, he could be the third, whatever. But we both involved. And shout out to Zoe Ellis, who's a project manager. She's, but yeah, shout out to 13. Hopefully,
Get it part 2.
So yeah, Pharaoh's working on the Eternity Pharaoh's part 2. I think that's been out in the streets. But yeah, I know I played on some things. Hopefully it makes the cut. And when it's time for 13 to be back outside, we got some things in the chamber. So, stay tuned. We actually got a banger called We Don't Believe You. Joint is insane. And I want to get that record and put it on my project. But
well, good luck with that, because I'd love to hear it sooner than later. But the reality is, skipping around a lot, because there's so much. Speaking of feeling the love, that was one of the earliest projects I ever heard of you with your sister, right?
Wow, yeah.
Is that your real sister?
That's my real sister, yeah.
Oh, wow. So how did you guys end up doing the Feel the Love? Because that was like almost 20 years ago now.
Yeah, that's crazy. Shout out to my sister, Tamarina. Rena's, that's
her stage name.
Yeah,
Rena.
yeah. So Tamarina Jones is my sister. And yeah, we've been doing cassette beat tapes since we were teenagers. Like I had my school book was the snare and my pillow was the kick drum.
Really?
We would make, she would sing and we would make, and I still got some of that stuff. But yeah, we were always about that. And what I like about my sister, she like that gritty, hardcore 90s hip hop beats.
Well, I was gonna say, even on that project, I remember her voice, at least to me, seemed very gentle, delicate, but powerful. But the beats were very rugged.
Yeah,
so it's an interesting juxtaposition.
Thank you. So basically, she like, Sade. People sometimes will nobody can be Sade, but just the aesthetic. And my sister, again, she's a believer too. And even those records, we didn't want to call it gospel, you know what I'm saying? But if you listen to the lyrics, it's definitely edifying the community, positivity. That's what we've been about that since day one. And marrying that with the gutter hip hop beats, that was the combination. Because, with my label Ruzik Records, at the time when I had that ideal, I was a born again Christian in church, and I was just like, man, how could I still like hip hop music and be saved and not have to give up listening to hip hop? So I was like, when I started producing beats, I was like, what I'm gonna do is, instead of working with rappers, because at the time a lot of rappers they were very parental advisory,
Yes, very profane.
It's like, okay, how can we marry, these edifying Christian positive lyrics, but still with the hip hop aggression? So that was terminology, soul hop. That's the terminology that I was using. That I don't know if I feel like I made up, but ain't nothing new under the sun. So somebody may be like, I made that word, but at the time I didn't hear anybody saying it. Soul hop, and Rena, we had made that project. And the crazy thing about that record, dang, it's 20 years. That's crazy. I had, my mom bought me, Roland made this digital 4-track recorder. It was popular at the time. The church would use them. It was the 880.
Wow.
The
880 and the 808. There you go.
The 1680. I think Mad Villain was made. I think, if I'm not mistaken, I heard that Mad Villain was made with the 1680, which is it's an all-in-one. Like, you can record. It's a mixing board, and you can record. It was all-in-one on this little machine. So at the time, we had this Radio Shack microphone on the ceiling fan.
Really? Oh,
We
wow.
recorded that project in my sister's living room. I pieced it up, and the first track that we did came out in '98, and it was during the How Can I Be Down A&R conference. I don't know if you remember that conference.
Oh yeah, I never went to one, but I almost went to one.
Yeah, or this.
Because they had them in Miami.
Yeah, exactly. So I think this came out after that. The song was called When You're There, and we originally put it out on a cassette single. At the time, cassette singles were a thing. And what I did was, I made most of the entire project off of sampling her vocals. So all the hooks if you listen to the project,
Yeah.
when you listen to When You're There, you're gonna hear hooks on the other tracks that I sampled from just that one track. So I made the entire project based off of When You're There.
Wow.
And that was recorded in my sister's living room, made on the Roland 808 80EX, which I learned how to produce tracks on that machine.
Wow.
Nobody, you know what I'm saying? Like nobody was really doing that, you know. And I had, and then I think I had the 303, the Boss 303. But yeah, anyway, we put that project out during the time when everybody was giving away music. You had Send Space, you send it. This was MySpace era, you know what I'm saying? And people at the time they were giving away their music, and it was great promo. So we put that out for promotional use only, and it reached so far. It went globally, and then eventually we got an album situation with a label in Europe. I won't even call their name because but they put it out on vinyl, and we were able to really make it was huge overseas.
Really? Wow.
In Japan, it was on vinyl. At least the second, the bootlegs and B-side, but it had tracks from the Field of Love record. But yeah, shout out to my sister, and that's people say that they love that record.
It's a great one. It's a great one. Another album that definitely gets attention, partially because of the title that you're on, is the Black Milk Album of the Year.
Oh my God.
So Keep Going. I know you're on that song in particular.
Mm-hmm.
And that one, the thing is, as we talk about classic rap, especially, there used to be so much where there would be instrumental and there wouldn't be any rapping. We've kind of gotten, to a degree, largely away from that, especially now that the songs are so short. But that song especially, not only is there the end where it's a lot of percussion, but then there's a whole other minute or two at the end. So do you guys remember when you were making that song in particular, how it evolved in that way?
Yeah, that's a good question. Also, new Daru Arena coming soon. Stay tuned. We got a heavyweight producer that did the record. I can't mention it right now, but it's gonna be a treat. So new Daru Arena coming soon. But yeah, the Black Milk album of the year. Wow. I remember us recording in Detroit at Studio One. That was Black Milk's studio at the time, and it's crazy because Black he was making beat tape batches like Dilla,
Yeah.
And it became a thing of like batches, like beats, and a lot of the beats from that album was from a batch he had made. I think it's called The Practice, if I'm not mistaken, and yeah, we were just in the studio, and he was just like, "Yo, just play," and literally a lot of this stuff was just my first time hearing the beats and playing to him,
Just
and
reacting?
he used it.
Oh,
He
wow.
used it. It was no like second or third take. So that's why album of or the name of that track is called Round of Applause, which is like a Fela sounded track. He wanted to make like Fela
Okay.
Kuti.
Yep.
It's like if you know Fela, you know that vibe. It's a lot of people involved, a lot of the groove
It's
is
like orchestral.
yeah, it's killing. So Round of Applause, that track was when we go into the jam, but Black is just so dope at what he does. Shout out to him. I'm grateful that I was able to be a part of his touring band and also record on that record. And that's how I met Jack White. But yeah, the tracks that I played on that record, they were all one take shots. And it was just like what I heard, what I thought would fit his, because he had real drums, produced drums. And I think some of the things he took his drums off, and then some things he would add like pieces of, he may add the snare. But for the most part, those are just one takes, and I'm just playing, and he kept it and produced around it.